Hello, everyone. How y'all doing this evening? It's a pleasure to be here. My name is George Willis Jr., and I wear that well. A lot of you may or may not know me as G Money. I used to own Club Monies on Pine. But I want to tell you, Miss Westbrook asked me to come and share my story and to talk a little bit about where I am today and some of the things that I'm involved in that may help the community. Well, I was born and raised in Atlanta. My father was a command sergeant major in the Army, and my mom worked for Sears and Roebuck. I grew up in a really nice neighborhood. I grew up with Martin Luther King kids. Ralph David Avenue, I think, was a neighbor, and Herman Russell. But my parents were so busy trying to make a living and trying to live the so-called American dream, they kind of forgot about me. And I kind of took to the street. I started hanging out in places that I should not have been hanging out in. Although I still got influenced by my parents, you know, and that's really important because even when you think kids are not watching, they are. Even when you think they're not learning, they are. You know, kids are like sponges. They absorb everything. And over a period of time, that sponge begins to get hard. And the things that it has absorbed as a child is hard to get out. So I can remember, though, my dad, one time, I went to my dad and I said, "Dad, can I have some money? I want to go to the skating rink with some friends." He said no. I was really disappointed. But the next morning, he got me up early, and we got in the car. We went to Ace Hardware. He bought a little lawnmower. We went back home. He took the lawnmower out, put it together. And then he said, "Now look up and down the street and tell me what you see." There was a lawnmower sitting there, and I looked up and down the street. I said, "I see grass." Amen. He said, "Yeah." He said, "So if you want money, you have to learn how to earn it." And he said, "You have to respect it." And he also said, "For every dollar you give me, I'll put $1 with it, and I'll save it for you." I didn't do real well with that one. But he taught me how to earn at a very early age. But he didn't give me a lot of love. My dad was a command sergeant major in the Army, so he didn't believe that men should show affection. He never hugged me. He never told me he loved me. But I knew he loved me because he provided for me. Now, my mother, on the other hand, she loved me. I knew my mama loved me. I mean, you know mamas, man. Mamas would do for you before she'll do for herself. Man. My mama used to feed me before she would feed herself. One time I got in trouble, and they called my parents and said, actually, I had stolen an 8-track tape from Richards. Y'all remember what 8-tracks were like? And I was trying to impress a friend. I stole 8-track. They called me and they called my parents. My mom told my dad. My dad was like, "I am not going to get him. He needs to feel the full implications of his actions." And he wouldn't come. But it was snowing outside. My mom walked about 20 miles to get me in the snow. She came and got me, man. I knew my mama loved me. Man. But my dad wasn't hearing it. No, he was like, "No, I'm not going to do it." Well, to make a long story short, my mom and dad got a divorce. And I continued to live with my mom. And I got worse because although my mom loved me, disciplining a child is very important. Sometimes you need to say no. Amen. She didn't say no. She never did, so I used her and I lived with her, and I wasn't real responsible. Then January 13, 1988, my mom died. And I can remember like it was yesterday, the last time I saw my mom. Last time I saw my mom, I was begging her for money because I wanted to go get high, to be honest with you. And I remember her saying, "Get away from me. Not today, not today." And I begged her, and eventually she gave me $20. And I remember her looking at me and saying, "Take this 20 and don't come back." And I know she did it. I took the 20 and I left and I did what I did and I came back late that night. She was really sick. She was getting ready to leave. And I ran up to her and she was shaking and she was cold. And I said, Mom, before you go, give me more money. I didn't even look at what she was going through or how sick she was. All I was concerned about is what I needed and how selfish I was. Well, the next day, I was in the crack house, actually. Somebody knocked on the door. All I remember is the two voices. One said, is Red in there? The other one said, yeah, he in there. The other one said, well, tell him his mom died last night. And I jumped up and I was like, what? You gotta be kidding. And I grabbed my shoes and I bust out the door running. It was pouring down raining. I ran like crazy and I was yelling and screaming. Said, God, please, not yet, not yet. Because I'm not ready. I was 27 years old, still living with my mom. My brother-in-law pulled up beside me and said, yeah, it's true. She's gone. After that, nobody would put up with me. You know my dad was. I remember one time I went to my dad's house. I was trying to pretend like I had used the bathroom, but I really wanted to stay. And when I got there, I said, Dad, I'm not going to go. He was like, what do you want? I said, can I use the bathroom? He said, yeah, come on. He followed me down the hallway. When I went in the bathroom, I was going to close the door. He was like, don't close that door. And he stood there and watched me. I had to force myself to use the bathroom. And then when I did, he followed me out the door. He followed me back down the hallway out the door, and he slammed the door. He wasn't going to put up with it. So eventually, one day I was sitting in the crack house, and this girl was in there with me, and I started to cry. And I'm talking about it was one of them cries where all holes were leaking. And she said, what's wrong with you? I said, what are you going to do with your life? She said, well, I'm from Alabama. I'm waiting on my birth certificate. I'm going to get a job. It's like, man, screw a job. You know, at the point I am in my life, if you give me money, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to get high. So I said, I'm tired of this. I was out by Six Flags. I know what Six Flags. I had a trash bag with two pair of jeans and about 5 t-shirts in a black trash bag. I started walking down Martin Luther King, walked all the way to 5 Points train station, got on the train, begged the man to let me on the train because I ain't have no money. And I remember what he said. He said, I'm going to let you on the train and you better get some help because your Christmas present might be a body bag. It was December the 21st, 1988. And I have not looked back. When I went to treatment, let me tell you, I went to treatment. I slept for like 3 days because I hadn't eaten, I hadn't slept, and I slept for like 3 days. And then the nurse made me get up and said, you got to at least go in the TV room. I went in the TV room, and there was these guys sitting at the table, and they was all in a hurry. One was talking about, I got to get out of here, I don't have 3 days on my sick leave. One was talking about, my car is going to get repossessed. I got to get out of here and go back to work. One was talking about, my girlfriend going to leave me. But I wasn't in a hurry because I didn't have nowhere to go. And I started watching TV and a documentary came on about Malcolm X. And I started watching that. And it changed my life. And it wasn't because Malcolm made me this black militant man. I didn't get up and throw up my fist and talk about right on, black power. That wasn't the point. The point was the transition that he went through. If you don't know, Malcolm was a very smart student in school. But he went to a predominantly white school. And one day during career day, the kids were getting up. One kid said, I want to be a scientist. One kid said, I want to be a doctor. So then it was Malcolm's turn. Malcolm got up and said, I want to be a lawyer. The teacher said, no, pick something else. He's like, no, I want to be a lawyer. And so the teacher had to whisper to him, no, black men don't be lawyers. Be a mechanic or be a carpenter. And he said, I don't want to do that. So he left school, became a thug, street person, started selling drugs, started prostituting women and all that, and went to jail. 10 years, got sentenced to 10 years in prison. So you notice the transition from a good kid to street, went to jail. He was introduced to the Nation of Islam. Couldn't read, couldn't write. He had lost. You know, when you stop reading for a while, I don't care how good you read when you're little, if you don't read throughout life, you lose a little bit of it. So he couldn't read. So the guy from the Nation told him, said, get a dictionary and write a word and write the definition of the word. And he taught himself. You know, he went through that transition. Then when he came out, he became this great orator for the Nation of Islam. And then once something happened, he left the nation. And he went to Mecca. And he came back. That's when he realized that it's not about the color of your skin. It's about the content of your character. He went through another transition. So I don't know, for some reason I realized that if my life was going to change, it was going to take me to change it. I was going to have to do something different. I couldn't do the same things that I had been doing and expect a different result. That's insanity. I had a friend, this lady I know, called me the other day. She's a U.S. Marshal, and that's the big dogs, okay? And you know, she said to me, she said, I feel like I'm losing my 15-year-old son. And I said, what do you mean? She said, I feel like I'm losing him to the street, and I don't know what to do. So I said, well, ask him to go on Netflix. I said, you got Netflix? She says, yes. I said, well, go on Netflix and find this movie called The Genius Have Left the Hood. And she was like, what? I said, yeah, ask him to watch the movie. And then I said, after he watched the movie, just say to him, you got to know when it's time to move on. The movie is actually, if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's about Jay-Z. How he started out in the street. He's from Marshall Projects in Brooklyn. And then his friend he started rapping with wasn't progressive. So he knew he had to leave that friend. Then he got with Damon Dash. And Damon Dash is the one got him to deal with Def Jam and when they started Rockefeller. Okay? Then he knew that Damon Dash couldn't take him to the next level, so he left Damon Dash. And now he's hanging out with Warren Buffett and some real folk. So my thing is, sometimes you got to know when it's time to move on. If your friends ain't willing to be progressive and move on, sometimes you got to know when it's time to move on. You know what I'm saying? Because like my dad implanted a work ethic on me, the people around you are learning from what you do. You don't have to tell them. Just do you. And they will gain from it. So I started setting goals. I met somebody and they say, you need to set some goals for your life. And you know, my first list of goals was really me talking about everybody. Well, if it wasn't for the police, they harassing me. If it wasn't for the government, they take out too much taxes. It was everybody else's fault. You know, but then I realized if I don't change and if I don't do something, then I can't blame anybody else. It's all about what I do. You know, so I went yesterday and I went to Barnes & Noble yesterday. I'm going to tell you, one of the most powerful, beneficial places in Macon is the library and Barnes & Noble. Everything you need to know has already been done. The reason you can't understand your kids, because you don't know where their focus is. A lot of people think that young men, especially young African American men, is doomed to fail. Okay? They're on a road of self-destruction. I strongly disagree. I think they're just misdirected. They're in a city with the wrong map. So in order for us to encourage them to do better, we got to understand their world. And it's real simple. Like I went to Barnes & Noble and I brought a couple of things that I want to share with you. I bought some magazines. I don't like to read books. I guess I'm ADHD. I don't have the patience. But I can read an article. I bought this double XL magazine. It was only $5. If you want to understand your kid, read the magazine. If you don't know, this is Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar has some lyrics that may be a little bit hard for some of us to listen to, but you will get the point. He talks about his world, and he talks about what he's up against every single day. Here's another magazine I bought. It's called Hip, and it's got T-Pain on the front. How many people in here know who T-Pain is? T-Pain has been to Macon thousands of times, a lot. I remember the first time I brought T-Pain to Macon. He was pop locking and I was like, this guy's crazy, who is that? But now he's one of the most sought after producers. His net worth is $30 million. If you want to know what your kid's doing, read the magazine. Now, if your kids don't read those magazines, they got all different kinds. Now, this magazine might be a little bit different. This is rock. It's got Johnny Depp, Alice Cooper, and Joe Perry. I don't know who Joe Perry is, but I grew up with Alice Cooper. How many people know who Alice Cooper is? So there's all different types of information for all different genres available to you, but the question is, will you use it? Now, the last book, all these magazines are only like $5, so it ain't like you gotta spend a whole lot of money. The last book I bought was this one. It has Martin Luther King on the front. The book is called 50 Leaders Who Changed History. Okay? This is the point I'm trying to make. If your kids see this laying on the coffee table along with those magazines, they're more likely to pick this book up. But if they don't see you reading, how do you expect for them to read? They're going to do what you do. If all you do is watch TV, then all they're going to do is watch videos. You know what I'm saying? They're going to do what they see you do. And music is not all bad. T-Pain, $30 million, give me $30 million. I played the lotto today. Okay, ain't asking nobody to play the lotto. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, I can't keep asking God to make the world different. Now I ask God to make me better. Make me better. I didn't have to come here. Traffic is crazy coming out of Atlanta. It took me 2 hours to get here. And I work a full-time job. I have to be at work at 4:30. Okay? But the only way I can leave that full-time job working for somebody else and work for God full-time, I have to come here. And I don't come here for you. Come here for me. There's an all-Negro spiritual, and I'm going to leave you with this. It says, it's not my mama, not my dad. It's not my sister, not my brother. It's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. So it's about what I do. Do what I do. And if you do what you do, that makes us twice as strong. Then you do what you do. See, all of us is one hand. If we all bound together, we make a strong fist. But if you ain't doing what you do, it's going to be kind of weak. Okay? So we can ask for outside help, but it begins with inside. All right? Thank you.